from me when he said, "Excuse me, ma'am." And I turned around and I literally yelled at him and I said, "Do not approach me." From me.
My friends, welcome back to the MD Medic Podcast. Today we're going to react to this ridiculous video that has gone viral on TikTok. Let's go. Alright guys, many of you have seen this video that is going viral recently on TikTok. Essentially, it's a woman talking about how men should not approach a woman in a parking lot. We're going to go through this entire video and we're going to break down line by line exactly how I feel about this video. Let's go.
I'm literally shaking right now because I just had a man approach me in a parking lot and it went fine. And I'm going to tell you why it went fine and how to address it, because it was in a book I read and this is how you're supposed to address it, but it scared me. I'm literally shaking.
Oh my goodness.
Really, nigga?
All right, guys, look at this right here. She's saying, "Oh, I'm shaking right now. I am just so scared. I am literally shaking." This is a perfect example of how we have bred weakness and emotional instability into our culture. Like, for some reason, we have just this culture that glorifies being traumatized. How many times do you hear, "Oh my gosh, I have trauma. I was traumatized with this experience." You know, trauma triggers. Like, seriously, there's these whole like physician education modules that we have to do that essentially talk about, you know, not touching or grabbing a patient a certain way during your assessment because it might meet one of their trauma triggers.
Really, nigga?
Literally, we live in a society that is so weak. Like, if you look at it, like 1,000 years ago, normal everyday life for humans used to be hard. It used to be difficult. Like, you had to go and you had to walk miles and miles just to get a bucket of water to bring water to your village, and you had to grow your own food and kill your own animals, and there was always the threat, you know, of like disease and critical injury and robbery and like barbarians riding over the hills and just sacking your entire village. Like, life and death and war were like daily scenarios, daily parts of everyone's life. And it's so funny, like 1,000 years ago, you never heard terms like PTSD or trauma, or you never heard about people saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm shaking, I'm so traumatized." Like, we have bred such a culture of weakness, and I'm not saying PTSD isn't real, but like, it's way overused. And come on, YouTube, you can cancel me from this. These woke people who want to defend their emotional and mental illnesses, go ahead and cancel me. I don't care. But so many people claim PTSD and trauma from like little things, little everyday life things. So yeah, she's saying that she's shaking over nothing that you'll see very shortly. It's really ridiculous. Let's get back into it.
I'm literally shaking right now because I just had a man approach me in a parking lot and it went fine. And I'm going to tell you why it went fine and how to address it, because it was in a book I read and this is how you're supposed to address it, but it scared me. I'm literally shaking. So this guy, I am alone with my son, by myself, a woman, and a male approached me in a parking lot. He's, "Excuse me, miss," and I don't know why in the hell he was approaching me or what he was trying to do.
All right. Okay. So you see how she is emphasizing the fact that it's so terrible that she was approached by a man, specifically because she's a woman. She says, oh, as a woman, I was approached. You know, this is so like ridiculous that we live in a society today that basically just glorifies being a victim. We live in a victim society, and it almost seems like everything in our culture now is part of the victim Olympics. Everyone wants to have a victim identity, and for some reason, people find empowerment in being a victim. Just look at the LGBTQRS Elemental P movement. Like, they are out here always saying, we're so oppressed, trans rights are human rights, love is love. Like, first of all, the majority of people in the United States, they really don't care what you do behind closed doors. Like, I have my own moral beliefs about homosexuality and about the LGBT stuff. But at the same time, I believe in American freedom, which basically says you can do whatever you want to do in your own house. But, these people want to march around talking about how much of a victim they are. And this video is just like feeding into this victim culture. What she's saying is, as a woman, I am a victim. It's even worse that I was approached by a man because I am a woman. The feminine doctrine, which I'm pretty sure this woman ascribes to just based off of the video that she posted on TikTok. The feminist doctrine is so like self-conflicting and, paradoxical because it like purports women as being empowered equals to men. But yet all the time they are saying that men are inherently dangerous and that we are victimizers and that we're always like predators looking to make people into prey and victims. So like, are you empowered? Are you an equal to a man? Or are you like the possible victim at any moment of the dangerous, scary men? Make up your mind. Feminism is absolutely ridiculous. And like the stuff that this woman is saying, as a woman, I should not be approached by a man. As a woman, I am extra vulnerable. It totally conflicts with the modern feminist doctrine that, women are equal to men. Women are empowered. We want to push for equality. But yet there's like an ascribed inherent innocence, weakness, and sainthood that's like given and put on the image of women. But yet men are seen as an automatic threat. They're seen as predators. They're given the identity of someone who is like malicious. Like that is automatically associated with men. And you even see this like in daily life. Like if a man gets into a fight with a woman for whatever reason, let's just say, a woman actively tried to stab a man with a knife or, tried to rob him or whatever. And the man like just gives her the way of udon, hits her with the roundhouse kick, knocks her out.
Fatality.
Who's going to jump in to help him? No one. People are going to see this fight and they're automatically going to jump on him, attack him, and act as if he's the aggressor and as if he's the bad guy and jump in on the woman's side because there's just this assumed identity that women are victims and that men are victimizers. And don't even get me started on this like feminist doctrine that men are evil, men are bad, and women are independent. They're strong, they're empowered, and they don't need men. But yet, when a feminist feels threatened by a man, who's she going to call? She's going to call the police, who more than likely is going to be a strong, dominant, alpha, toxically masculine man that's going to come and rescue them from the terrible men. It's a paradox. Like, it's absolute clown world how these people clown world. So let's get back into the video.
So this guy, I am alone with my son, by myself, a woman, and a male approached me in a parking lot. He's, excuse me, miss, and I don't know why in the hell he was approaching me or what he was trying to do. And before he was probably 30 feet from me when he said, excuse me, ma'am. And I turned around and I literally yelled at him and I said, do not approach me. And he like immediately started going in the other direction. And I just kept saying it over and over and over. I said, do not approach me. Do not approach me. And he, of course, like got like, what the F, like he started cussing and yelling like, what's your problem? And I looked at him and he actually then crossed a couple cars down from my car. He didn't come anywhere near me. He crossed a couple cars down from my car and was like, continuing to cuss and say, what's your problem? And I said, you do not approach women in a parking lot. I just kept saying, do not approach me. You do not approach women in a parking lot, like yelling it. No male should ever approach a woman in a parking lot. Ever. no male should ever approach a woman in a parking lot. And if a male does approach you, you need to turn around and use the strongest voice that you can possibly use with them. Don't be polite. They need to literally screw off. No male should be approaching you in a parking lot.
Whew, wow.
Are you stupid or something?
So there's a lot there to unpack in this video, and I'm gonna go through each and every flawed point that this woman makes. I'm gonna break down all the different ways that she's completely delusional in what she's saying. So her whole central argument is that, a man should not approach a woman, and that women are victims and women need to, treat men as if they're victimizers and beware of a man who would approach a woman. So, guys, first of all, on this show, I'm a proponent of men demonstrating a level of confidence and men being traditional gentlemen and, building yourself up into a high value man so that you can go up and confidently have the women that you want, approach them, attract them, absorb them into you as you build up success and status. And, traditionally speaking, gentleman game has always been to physically approach a woman. We live in a society that constantly wants to meet people on online dating platforms and social media. And, there's nothing wrong with that. There are some fantastic women that are to be met via dating platforms, via online platforms. I mean, I've done it myself, but in general, it's traditional gentleman game to be able to go up to a woman and tell her how you feel about her, spit some game to her, woo her with your words, woo her with your presence, with your swagger, with your confidence. Being able to physically approach a woman as a gentleman, it shows confidence and it shows character. And it's crazy how when you listen to women critique, men in the dating game, they always say that men don't have any game anymore and that they want men to be confident in their approach to them and that they want to see more often men coming up to them and physically introducing themselves to them and physically spitting game. And this is proven in the fact that women are always especially in today's culture, the majority of women are dressing in ways in order to seek attention from a man. They're wearing their fake eyelashes and makeup and their long nails and their promiscuous clothing that have their boobs hanging out or show their butt or have a short skirt. And of course, they'll always say, oh, I'm not doing it for a man, I'm doing it for myself. But, they don't go to sleep in their fake lashes or they don't go to sleep in their heels or, their weave or their skimpy outfits. They don't sleep in those at home by themselves. If they were truly wearing them for themselves, then they would be wearing those around the house and sleeping in them, but they don't. They wear those things because they want attention and attention from men, because they want men to approach them, and they always say they want men to approach them. Here's some examples in case you guys think that I'm crazy. Watch this video montage.
PSA to all the fine men that I see out in public. Sir, if I look at you more than once, if I double back, I give you that real I'm bougie bad bitch kind of look back, I'm just looking around for my friend kind of look, that means I want you to approach me.
All right, PSA to the men in my DMs. Every post, every pic, whatever, swiping up hard eyes, swiping up beautiful. Okay, beautiful, whatever, lovely, gorgeous, but have you asked me on a date?
And it's playing in their confidence. I think the generation right now, the kids that I'm seeing right now, there's a massive difference between them and the generation that I know. I think men are questioning if they're good enough to actually go out on dates and take girls out and, be with these type of girls that they fancy, or they have to settle for something that they're not, which most of men do. But I think there's a massive crisis, I would say, that's happening to the young generation.
That means I'm 30 seconds away from walking up to you. I do not want you to get in your car, turn up your music, and zoom off and try to be cool. No, I want you to eat my coochie from the back, okay? Okay, now come talk to me, please and thank you. I'm opening the front door. Well, don't you understand? I don't know why men don't understand this. Always men that you don't want to talk to you that are always fucking talking to you.
What about you?
So I do music. So when somebody called me and be like, oh, that shit was dope. Can I get your phone number so we can link up? Okay. That's how it goes.
And that's it.
That's it.
So guys, just a quick summary here. It's not what you say, it's how you make them feel that really matters in this scenario.
Shout out to Fresh and Fit for some of these examples. All right, so yes, women in general want men to approach them. There's nothing wrong with that. And I, once again, encourage men growing some balls and being a gentleman and approaching a woman. And this whole thing of, oh, it's in a parking lot, so that's dangerous, that's wrong. I disagree. And here's why. In this video, it's broad daylight. She's in a parking lot. You can see other cars all around her. So it's not like she's in any inherent like risk or danger. And sometimes like a parking lot is the best place to approach a woman. And a personal example of mine is I was at a gas station one time and I saw a beautiful young lady, and the gas station was like packed out and there was a long line. And, like I was in line trying to like get a snack and pay for some gas, and this woman was in line behind me, and started some small talk with her, and I didn't want to like really start laying on the pickup game heavy right there in the store because I didn't want to embarrass her, because I know a lot of people get shy and nervous in these situations. So I didn't want to embarrass her. So out of respect, like I waited to, really tell her that she was beautiful and that I wanted her number or XYZ until we actually like went outside, until we left the register and went outside. And then out in the parking lot there, I wanted to tell her that, I told her that she was attractive, that I wanted her number, and the interaction went successfully. But I did it in a respectful way, and I did it in the parking lot so that I wouldn't embarrass her in front of other people. And I think that that's perfectly fine. Like, as I said, that is gentleman game. So by like men being gentlemen and men being the traditional pickup artist, the traditional gentleman that physically go up to a woman politely with manners and with confidence in the way that women say that they want, by men doing that and then getting a reaction of, you're dangerous, don't do this, don't ever approach women, like that is wrong. And you hear all the time women say things like chivalry is dead. Well, if chivalry is dead, women killed it, because when you try to do things like this, when you try to be a traditional gentleman and approach a woman to talk to her for whatever reason, and I'm sure that's what happened in this video. I mean, she's a attractive woman, and I'm sure a guy simply wanted to go up to her with manners saying, excuse me, ma'am, like, come on. She shut him down like this and gave him this kind of reaction. I mean, no wonder he cussed her out. Like, he was wondering, what is going on? What the F is wrong with you, lady? For her to give this kind of reaction and try to like publicize it and say that women should react to like this in general to men approaching them, this is why chivalry is dead. If chivalry is dead, it is because women killed it. Like, it's messed up. And this is another reason, men, why I say that your image and your manners are very, very important. Like, for whatever reason, and we all know that this girl is delusional. This girl is crazy. She's completely out of her mind and overreacting for going on rants in the TikTok like this, and even like addressing this guy like this, who probably just wanted to politely approach her with an, excuse me, ma'am, I think you're beautiful. I want to know could I get your number? She could have just said no. But your image and how you present yourself and your manners and the way you carry yourself as a gentleman that I always talk about on this podcast is very important. And this here video of pure delusion proves why it is important. Like, if you present yourself as a man with manners, saying, excuse me, ma'am, like he did, very politely, or, hi, miss, I'm not trying to be creepy, but I just want you to know that you're extremely gorgeous, and I would feel like a coward if I didn't physically come and tell you, because, you're the most beautiful thing I've seen all day. Like, present yourself with manners, present yourself with game, present yourself with confidence, and by you doing that, you are less likely to give off the image of a criminal. I mean, like, a criminal would not present to you with manners like that. More than likely, that is not associated with the presentation of a criminal. More than likely, a man who presents himself with manners and a man that presents himself like well put together, as in, you're wearing clothes that imply and items, your watch, your necklace, your clothes, not flexing outside of your socioeconomic status, but you wear them to reflect where you are in the status that you've already achieved, because that's what we're about on the MD Medic podcast, becoming the richest, the best, the strongest, the sexiest person you can possibly be. But like how you present yourself, if you present yourself with an era of class and pride, in a way that implies abundance in your finances, abundance in your life, then basically you will look like, hey, you know what, this guy's approached me with manners, and he looks like a well put together guy. He might have a little bit of money, or If anything, he takes care of himself, so he's probably not likely to rob me because he looks like he already has it all put together himself. And this guy is presenting himself, in a very confident, very attractive way. Most likely, he doesn't have to, do anything malicious to me. He doesn't have to grape me. I'll say it for YouTube to not get canceled. He doesn't have to grape me or try to take advantage of me because he seems to have, an abundant amount of women or be able to attract women on his own with just how he carries himself and how he presents and the manners that come out of his mouth. A woman would be less likely to feel threatened if you present yourself like that. And mind you, this obviously does not prevent all of the cap. This does not prevent, people from overacting like this, but it definitely does help. And even going on this woman is saying, oh my gosh, I felt threatened by this man who approached me in broad daylight, who announced his presence from 30 feet away and used manners. If she really is thinking, she would not say something like this because it's just completely just dumb for her to assume that if a man had intentions of hurting her, that he would announce himself from 30 feet away and then walk away and act surprised when she started screaming at him, in broad daylight. Just think rationally for a second. Just think rationally for a second. Do malicious people who wish harm, will they announce your presence? Will they announce their presence to you from far away in broad daylight? It's not going to happen. Think of every story of people that have been kidnapped or people that have been human trafficked or anything like that. Generally, it's somebody gets lured into a dark place away from other people, or they get, snuck up on, unaware, and taken against their will. If a guy is announcing himself from far away using manners in a crowded parking lot that's well lit, would you really think that this guy's trying to hurt you?
Are you stupid or something?
Yes. Are you stupid or something? Just think about it. It's absolutely ridiculous. Or even if you think about the actual rules of tactical combat. As I said before, I'm a licensed SWAT medic. Back in the past, in my active paramedic days, I did training as a tactical medic. And one of the tenets of close quarters combat was surprise, speed, and violence of action. There is nothing in here that is implying any of those things. There's no surprise, he's announcing his presence. There's no speed, he's not quickly closing the distance, and there's no violence. Lady, you're dumb.
Are you stupid or something?
You're dumb. If this guy really meant harm, then he would also think about the different ways that you can retaliate, i.e. get a weapon, call for help, anything like that. He wouldn't announce himself in advance. And what I think is so crazy is that this woman is saying, oh my gosh, he's so rude because he cussed me out. He was like, what the F are you doing? She just went off on this guy saying, do not approach women, do not approach women, do not approach women. Who wouldn't react with, what the hell are you doing, lady? Who would not say that? Who would not say that? But it's so crazy. She acts as if it's crazy for her to get cussed out. But yet dudes get cussed out by women all the time and worse. And it's cool. How many times do you hear about a woman slashing a dude's tires because she's angry? Or busting out the windows of his cars? Or keying his car? You hear it in pop music. I bust the windows out your car, or I dug my key into the side of his pretty little souped up 4-wheel drive, or you even see that movie This Christmas where, the lady, because she finds that her husband, who's a high value wealthy man who, because he's put in the work to make himself attracted to a bunch of women, he's exercising his options, but yet she finds out and she's angry, and she wasn't angry about it before, but she got angry once her friends told her she should be angry about it. So so she ends up beating this guy with the belt once he gets out of the shower and then wrecking his car. Or the Medea movie where, a similar situation and a guy gets hot grits thrown on him by a woman, and it's glorified by Hollywood. But yet a guy can't even simply verbally express discontent in a harsh way. But yet women can emotionally explode all the time on a dude, and it's okay. There's so many fallacies to this movie. So what's even more crazy is this woman here, she ended up gaining a following. She ended up gaining like 50,000 followers on TikTok from this video. And she ended up creating a community of women who are just like, oh my gosh, men are victimizers. How can women be safe? In a community with that whole theme. And she's just, she made a follow-up video about this topic. That's basically says, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I was able to create a community of women who want to be safe and think like-mindedly. Like, it's so ridiculous. Here's the video.
I don't know how I ended up with 50,000 new friends, but I am so happy that all of you guys are here. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. In honor of reaching 50K, I'm gonna be posting an introduction video. That's actually something I don't think I've ever done before. I don't think I've actually done a formal introduction on TikTok. So I am gonna be posting that. And I just wanna thank all of you guys for being here and helping me create this community that supports and empowers working moms.
Stop the cap. This is ridiculous. So once again, this woman is able to create a community because of this victim culture and people wanting to find their identity in being a victim. It's almost like people want to say, oh my gosh, I'm more of a victim than you, so my dick is bigger than yours. Or, nowadays people are weird and nobody even knows what gender they are. So I guess they're like, I'm cool because my dick is smaller than yours because it's just a clown world that we live in and everything is backwards. So this just, her whole mindset towards this, or the fact that she can even create a community that basically says, women, if you feel threatened by man, if you're approached by a man, it's a threat, scream, don't approach me. Like, it's all absolute cap. It is such cap. Like, if you really don't want to be victimized, if you're really so scared of becoming a victim, there's some very simple steps you can take that are much more effective than simply, just being an absolute weirdo and overreacting and spazzing on dudes who have totally good intentions. There's some really simple ways to do it. Number one, carry a freaking gun. We live in the United States of America, the most free country in the world, that allows you to have the ability to carry a firearm because it's your right as an American citizen to protect yourself, to protect your family, to protect those you love and care about. Carry a gun. Like, seriously, if you're that worried about becoming a victim as a woman, like, you're not going to be able to fight a guy on a balance of probabilities. If a guy fights a woman and it's purely a physical fight, then that ends in a fatality. For the woman, she's absolutely outmatched, but the great equalizer is a weapon, a firearm. If you're really scared, carry a gun. As a matter of fact, if I'm in a relationship with a woman, if I am really taking a woman seriously, I will insist that she carries a firearm whenever I'm not around her, because it makes me feel better that she's able to defend herself and able to be safe against threats. Like, seriously, carry a gun. And especially if you live in a red state where getting a gun and carrying one is not like super difficult, like, there's no reason. And I've even gone through it with women that I've been in relationships with, the different ways you can carry a gun for different circumstances. Like, if you're in a, urban area and there are active threats or a sketchy neighborhood, like, if you just wear your gun in open carry mode where it's visible on your side, then that is a visual screw off. Leave me alone. Don't approach me. And what that also does is, if someone does approach you with malicious intent and you have the weapon visible and you're open carrying, then you are even more justified to use deadly force, because it's already a visual warning that you are armed. And by a person still choosing to come after you and bother you and harass you, they are essentially forfeiting their life, because they basically see that you have a open visible weapon and they're still willing to pursue you in a negative, malicious way. Like, you pretty much have the green light to use deadly force, because if they're willing to attack you still, if they're willing to be a problem with you still, knowing you're lethally armed, then that means that they are probably armed themselves or confident that they can overcome you or have bad intentions. So, or like in this case, the woman's out in the mall, or wherever she's at, stick the weapon in your purse, be chill. Like, you never have to think about it in any situation, especially if a dude announces his presence. You have plenty of time to reach for your weapon and react that way if you really feel threatened. Instead of just saying, hey, leave me alone, don't approach women, don't approach women, don't approach women. And then this guy actually ends up taking the advice and then, stops approaching women, stops doing the cold approach, and isn't having any success in his life in dating, and is lonely because women want to actually be cold approached, like they say, like we've showed before, you know, and this guy is now like depressed because he's not getting any women. Like, it's ridiculous. Just if you're really scared, carry a weapon as a woman. It's simple. Another thing you can do if you're really afraid of becoming a victim, find a man. Find a man that is dangerous, that is capable of defending you, that is capable of defending your family, that is capable of handling himself, and then you're safe. Men, that's why I tell you, you must become dangerous. Women want a guy that makes them feel safe. Women, this is girl game for you. This isn't just like me speaking to the men. This is girl game for the women as well. Find you a man who is capable of defending himself, capable of defending you, and you're fine. You don't have to feel like a victim. You're with him, and his physical presence tells predators, all right, chill. And finally, I'm going to get some hate for this, but, you know, as a woman, if you're so afraid of being a victim, afraid to the point where you're willing to join a TikTok community of a delusional woman talking about how to not be a victim in the most ridiculous, you know, inefficient ways, if you're really that scared, another really simple thing you can do is don't dress in a way that attracts attention to yourself. I'll say that again. Do not dress in a way that attracts attention to yourself. If you don't want to be made a victim, then don't like go out dressed promiscuously by yourself. Don't like present your way in a manner that seeks attention from men. And people are going to say, oh, that's misogynistic, or you can't victim shame because that's promoting great culture or anything like that. Like, for real, if you had a Ferrari, would you go and park that Ferrari in the worst neighborhood that you possibly could? Would you go and park that Ferrari in the hood in front of a corner store and then go into the store and spend a couple hours in the store, leave your car unattended, and then come back and expect it to be in good shape? No, you wouldn't. Because you know that you're in an area where your car is likely to be the victim of predators. It's common sense. Or if I were to, you know, go walking down the street at night in an urban downtown neighborhood, you know, with a $1 million watch on, money hanging out of my pockets, a gold chain, and a sign on my back that says I'm a millionaire and I have money on me. If I were to get robbed, no one would feel sorry for me. People would think that that was my fault, that I shared some level of responsibility. The same thing applies here. Women, if you were really afraid of being victimized, simply don't dress in ways to seek attention. And I'm not saying that this woman did. She was not dressed in a way that was seeking attention. She was actually dressed very nicely, very modestly. But in general, if you're so afraid of being victimized, instead of listening to this lady's bullcrap advice, just take these very simple steps. Nobody talks about these things. Like, they call these things hate speech or harmful language. If I were to make a TikTok page talking about these very simple ways to not be a victim, to not be a victim if you're afraid of being victimized as a woman, if I were to list these things on TikTok, I'd probably get flagged for hate speech. I'd probably get the video taken down for violating community guidelines. But this woman in this slave-minded matrix culture can make this whole ridiculous, TikTok community that basically says men are predators, men are evil, women feel like victims. It's absolutely ridiculous. But guys, the reason why I made this podcast was not just to, go into the pop culture and react to a popular video. You guys know that I'm not a huge consumer of TikTok. I produce content for TikTok. I don't really consume it like that. And I happened to see this video on YouTube. But I think that this video is a reflection of how society is and how society thinks. And guys, I'm commenting on this video because I want you guys to be careful and good intention. I want you to be mindful and tactical in your cold approach so that you don't become the victim of false accusations, so that you don't become looked at as if you are a predator, so that you will understand the mindset of the women that you want to approach and learn how to do it in a smooth and effective manner. You should understand the prevailing defective mindset so that you will know how to navigate around it in today's clown world. Because that's what we're all about here. Making you guys the richest, the wealthiest, the most ripped, the sexiest men that you could be. That's what we're about on the MD Medic podcast. Guys, go ahead and give us a like and a subscribe. You can follow us on all social media platforms at MD Medic Podcast. The Instagram handle is below. The Twitter, the TikTok, the Facebook is all the same. Guys, thank you so much for watching the MD Medic podcast. I love you guys so much. MD Medic out.